Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here. Kind of an interesting day today. We know there's going to be a ton of heat. We're in the midst of a heat wave, and while there is a tiny chance, and I would not get my hopes up for rain today, the weird thing about it, it's one of those days where the chance of rain is really small and most people will be dry, but the storms, if they can get going, could be severe. And I'll explain what I'm talking about here. You can look at the map right now and see we had a few passing showers this morning because of this stalled front. I'm going to loop this a couple of times. And you can see we've got a stalled or a stationary front essentially to our north. And what's happening along this front, we're seeing these little waves or little disturbances kind of move along the front as it moves off to the east. Now, we saw one this morning kind of fell apart. You actually see the showers there. Watch this real quickly. I'll re-loop this. You see these showers this morning came through the mountains and they kind of fell apart as they moved through the Piedmont. Well, there's another one of these systems back here over the Midwest. It's moving through Missouri right now, heading through parts of Arkansas. It's going to be traveling east today, and I expect a very similar kind of setup late today and this evening, but I don't expect a lot of it to make it to our area. So I'm going to stop this real quickly, and I'm going to show you the severe weather outlook today because it kind of shows you where we could see those severe storms. So think this thing right here, traveling like this, and then taking a dive down to the bottom like that. And why would it do that? Well, there's a big dome of hot, high pressure here, and the flow around it is going to produce those storms. That northwest flow, we call it, because the mid-levels of the atmosphere are steering these storms in from the northwest. So we're technically in a medium risk for severe weather today, but that doesn't mean there's going to be widespread showers and storms. It just means any little storm that could get going could definitely produce some strong, maybe even some severe weather. That's the chance of severe weather overall. Let's look at the chance of winds. Primarily 15% chance of damaging winds. The probability of hail is 15% as well. So hail and wind are going to be our primary concern with any storms that get going. And when it's hot and humid like this, typically damaging downbursts are a big concern. Tornado probabilities are not 0, but they're 2%. So it's pretty low. It's not 0. I'll keep an eye on it, but I really think this is going to be more of a wind threat as this damaging winds kind of move in with this kind of what we call MCV, mesoscale convective vortex, kind of moves in from the north and west. So let's look at what's going to happen later this afternoon as things kind of heat up. All right, so let's get right to the future cast. We'll show you what happens into the afternoon hours. You see the system off to our northwest, and notice where most of the storms flare up. They're up in this area. Now, the models are indicating at least a short range guidance, and we'll rerun these every hour, by the way, maybe one or two, and this is kind of what I expect. Not a ton of storms. I mean, the radar is going to look pretty sparse, but if one or two of these get going, they could be severe. Notice where the bulk of the bigger and widespread storms are up here in the Ohio Valley. And that's really, I think, where most of them will be. But you could see, later today, this evening, there could be a few storms that go severe. But overall, I'll loop this again. This is an 18-hour loop. Just not a lot of storms there. That kind of shows me that these things are going to be incredibly isolated. But one of the things I look at quite often is that thunderstorm fuel. So I'm going to pop up the thunderstorm fuel here, and I'm going to load it in for the whole day. So bear with me for a second. We'll load it real quickly. And these levels, you can see that the chart at the top goes from 0, goes up into the thousands. You can see there is plenty of fuel for storms today. That's not going to be the issue. I mean, hot, humid weather, this is 5 o'clock. We've got plenty of thunderstorm fuel. What's usually the problem in situations like this, the hot, humid air creates a temperature inversion, which is like a cork on a bottle of champagne. It traps all that fuel down at the surface, and it can never be fully realized. It can never be tapped into by the setup in the atmosphere. But if that cap, what we call breaks, or the cork on the bottle pops, you can get kaboom, you can get huge thunderstorm development in short order. So there's some energy out there today, and you'll feel it. It's going to be blazing hot, low mid 90s, kind of the hottest day of the year by far. But the concern is we're not going to have basically that ability for the storms to build vertically into the atmosphere. And when that happens, we call it a cap. Storm chasers deal with this all the time. It's incredibly frustrating if you're chasing storms. And if you want rain at your house today, it could be incredibly frustrating as well, because I don't expect a lot of widespread storms. But if we do get some, one or two of them could be severe. The overall chance of rain today, guys, just 20 to 30%. But of that 20 or 30%, half of those storms could be severe. So stay weather aware just in case, but it's really more about the heat the next couple of days. We'll get some rain this weekend, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to Sunday when there's a bigger front with more widespread rain chances on the way. Have a great Thursday.